feeling bloated or you get frequent headaches, you may need to pay attention to what you're eating, and you may need to clean up your diet. So here to help us do that, please welcome naturally savvy nutritionist Andrea Donsky. Spring cleaning the gut, the body. There's so much we can do to be a little bit better about what goes into our system, and we're going to talk about what you're eating and how that might make your body feel.
Exactly. So as a nutritionist, one of the first things we learn in nutrition school is to connect the dots between what we're eating or drinking and how we're feeling.
Yes.
Right? So a lot of times, you know, we could tell when there's indigestion or acid reflux. We can make that connection because commercials help us do that, right?
Okay.
So we're seeing it on TV.
Yes.
But if we have, let's say, anxiety or headaches or depression, we don't always connect the dots. We don't always make that connection. So one way to do that really easily is to keep a food journal.
Good idea.
So you can write down what you're eating or drinking for a couple of weeks. A month is even better, and then look for patterns. That's the key, right? So you might always think, oh, I have a headache today, and then 2 days later, was something that I ate caused it. You can see the patterns by what you're writing down.
Okay.
Write in a journal, put it on your notes in your phone, or write on a napkin. Whatever works, whatever gets you to write it down is important.
We've always heard that that's really important for diets and staying on top of mindful eating, but also just figuring out what ails you. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, exactly. Okay, now let's talk about this group of products here. What are we looking at?
All right, so these are artificial sweeteners.
Right.
Okay, so artificial sweeteners, for example, sucralose, ACE-K, which is asulfate potassium, aspartame, saccharin, those are examples. Okay. And you can find them in thousands of products. Soda, sports drinks, juices, ketchup, yogurt, etc. Especially, this surprised me, you can find it in over-the-counter medication for adults and for children.
Didn't know that.
Right, so you can find it in cough medicine. So this is the thing, companies sometimes add 2 or 3 different artificial sweeteners. So gum is a really good example. They want to make it really sweet, and aspartame makes the flavor last longer. So they're coupling the actual artificial sweetener. So again, it's making that connection that let's say you get a headache, a couple days later, could it be that piece of gum that I was chewing? Write it down in your food journal.
What kind of gum can you chew then? Do any of them have non-artificial sweeteners?
Yes. So one example would be pure gum. That's a great example. Glee gum is another gum. So there are, we call it natural gum. So we call it in our house kid gum. That's the gum I like my kids to chew. They obviously sometimes don't chew what I want them to chew, but we call it kid gum. So it's approved for them.
Good information. What do we have here?
All right, so this is gluten.
Yes.
Now a lot of us have already made the connection between what we're eating, gluten, and how we're feeling because gluten-free is so popular. Right? So people are aware of that. So gluten is found, example, in bread, pasta, even luncheon meat, processed meats.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so they have wheat flour in hot dogs, breadcrumbs, as well as certain supplements. So you want to make sure that it says gluten-free on the package. Something interesting to note is that you can also find gluten in wheat-free products. So if a product is labeled wheat-free, certain grains can be wheat-free, but they're not necessarily gluten-free. For example, like barley and rye. So again, you always want to read the label. You can look for, there's usually a little logo on it that says gluten-free certified. For me, I've been gluten-free for many years. The way it manifested in terms of side effects was digestive. So I used to get gas, bloating. You can also get loose stools, stomach pain. It manifests differently for people. So very important to note is that it's not always a physical manifestation. It could be a mental or emotional. So I know somebody who, when she eats gluten, she gets depressed. I know someone else who gets aggressive. So it really can manifest in different ways. So when you're writing it down in your food journal, don't only write physical symptoms. Make sure you track the emotional and the mental symptoms.
This is very interesting. Okay, what group is this?
All right, so this is dairy.
Dairy.
So about 75% of us are lactose intolerant, meaning we can't digest the sugar in dairy. I'm one of those, so is my daughter. And then there
Do you eat anything? No gluten, no dairy. Is it ice cubes for lunch, Andrea? What's
water,
happening?
fruit, exactly. I actually do. That's the great thing. You make a great point, Tracy, is that nowadays there are so many great alternatives.
There are.
Right? So that people like me can actually eat something other than water. So you can find dairy in products that we know, obviously milk, cheese, yogurt, butter, milk, chocolate. But it's also in products that we may not think about.
Who knew?
Right. Luncheon meat. They use protein, casein in a lot of these products. So milk powder. They can put it in buns. That's huge. They have milk or in buns. Margarine. Tuna can have casein. Yes, some brands can have casein. Homeopathic remedies have lactose in it. So that's something to note as well as some dark chocolate.
How might this make you feel?
So when you eat dairy, if you're lactose intolerant, it's generally a digestive issue.
Yes.
Gas, bloating, loose stool, stomach pain.
Yeah.
If you have a dairy allergy, that's a whole different ballgame, much more serious.
Okay.
You know, that can be itchy throat, that can show up as skin issues, as well as anaphylaxis. So very important.
Good to note.
Very important to note. So again, mark things down depending on how you're feeling after you eat dairy.
And this group is?
All right, so this is MSG, or monosodium glutamate. So again, gluten and MSG are both very controversial ingredients. Some people say totally safe to eat. Other people say, oh my gosh, avoid it like the plague.
Yes.
The thing is this, we're all individual. Everybody reacts differently to things.
Right.
You might be okay with it. For me, it might not be so great.
Okay.
So this is what MSG, what it looks like. It actually has no flavor or taste, but what it does is when it's added to food, it adds flavor to it.
Okay.
So it's generally added to salty foods, like chips, and you have soups, noodles, that kind of thing, snacks as well.
Right.
And then it's also naturally occurring in certain foods, many foods in fact, in the form of glutamic acid. Tomato juice, soy sauce, mushrooms, tomatoes, seaweed, sardines. So if you have an issue with MSG, which about 40% of the population does, then you'll want to avoid even naturally occurring glutamate. And there's 40 different names for MSG, by the way, which is another issue.
Oh, great. Thanks, food industry, for making that so easy to identify.
Well, that's it.
How might that make you feel, MSG?
It could make you feel the exact same way that straight up monosodium glutamate will make you feel. So, for example, some effects could be sweating. So actually, here, I wrote it down because it's unbelievable. Heart palpitations, chest pain, headaches, face flushing, tingling, numbness, excessive sweating, hot flashes, and the list goes on.
Oh my gosh.
So again, it can manifest in different ways if you are sensitive or intolerant to MSG.
Now this would appear to be stuff that you should be eating, but should you?
Okay, so at the end of the day, really, again, like we said, everybody's individual and unique.
Yeah.
So some people can react to anything. You can react to broccoli.
Yep.
My business partner, Randy, she developed an allergy to mango in her 30s. So at the end of the day, what's important, listen to your body, write down how you're feeling, and that way you can determine what's good and not good to eat.
What an eye-opener. Thank you, Andrea.